We're all human.
Yeah.
Literally trying every day to make it.
I would like to reframe that with, we're all human. Instead of trying, let's just be.
Period.
Bang!
Are you willing to go into the cave of your mind? The subconscious part, where memories are stored. Into the cave. Are you willing to go into the cave of your heart, where trauma lives? Are you willing to go into the cave of your life, to look for the skeletons that need to be examined? Remember our choice. To find your voice. I know. Are you willing to choose the cave when times are rough? Things get rough. When you've had enough. I know sometimes. Are you willing to go into the cave, into the void, into the quiet spaces of your being, to find your true self? Into the void, into the cave.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Into the Cave. Today, we have a special guest, Johnna Jackson, licensed clinical social worker.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, hey. Now that we got that out of the way, you guys know I don't like boring introductions, so I'm not going to sit here and read her bio. I'm also not going to ask her to talk about yourself in, I don't know, like, what do you do? I would like to play a game.
Okay.
Okay. So, what do you think is the most important thing people should know about you?
That's such a hard question. The most important thing that people should know about me is I'm human.
Ooh. Ooh, okay, I like that.
I'm human living a human experience
Wow.
in this time.
What I love about that answer is to take that time to think about all of the things, because I have a little bit of all of the things that you do, and they're amazing, and to move past all of that and to say that the most important thing is to know that you are a human and you're living life right now. It's a testament to who you are as a clinician. I feel like oftentimes when people are seeking help, they almost have an idea that when they come to us, there's something we're going to give them that heals them, right?
Yeah.
And to hold in our core values and to just know that it's not about me healing you. I'm a human being, which means I'm experiencing everything that you are experiencing as well. And there might be chaos happening in my life right now at this moment. And I'm not going to pretend to be fixed, healed, a guru, someone that you should look up to. I'm going to actually say, hey, the reason why we can sit and commune with each other and find some source of healing within ourselves as individuals is because I'm looking at you as a human being, because I know I am a human being. I think it takes a lot of the pressure off of the client to be a certain way or be nervous about what to share or feel inadequate because you must have it all together because you have all of the answers and you went to school and you know all of this stuff. So tell me the answer, please help me, save me, right? So I love that you said, I honestly feel like the most important thing for any individual is for us to remember that part.
Yeah.
That we're human.
Yeah.
Now that we got that out of the way, you ready for the game?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm so ready.
Okay. So you're going to say, if you really knew me, you would know this. If you really knew me, you would know this. If you really knew me, you would know this. And not surface stuff. Not, if you really knew me, you would know my favorite color is purple. You know? Mm-hmm. I mean, if that does come up, it's like, if you really knew me, you would know my favorite color is purple because deep down I have insecurities inside and I pull from the power and the royalty of that color. So when I look at that color, I actually feel more empowered versus when sometimes I close my eyes, my inner critic is like, royal where? You're not royal, right? But purple gives me that permission to say, maybe I'm not royal, but purple is, and I'm wearing it. So therefore, that makes me royal. Okay, we got it?
Got it.
Okay. If you really knew me, you would know. Go.
If you really knew me, you would know that I'm compassionate. If you really knew me, you would know that sometimes vulnerability is really hard for me. If you really knew me, you would know that I get tired of wearing the strong person hat. If you really knew me, you would know how much I love and care for my family. If you really knew me, you would know how afraid I am for the political state that our country is currently in. If you really knew me, you would know that I am very intentional about doing life every single day. If you really knew me, you would know that my heart is hurting right now because of life.
Thank you for your vulnerability. I heard in your share that that is hard for you, so thank you for going there. We're gonna do a state change now. Okay, guys, just letting you guys know, this is what a state change is. And you can use this. If anyone does any group therapy, group facilitation, teachers, this is something for you guys. Things can get heavy sometimes, right? And sometimes we need a state change. And what a state change is, it literally is doing something that is opposite to the state that you were just in.
Okay.
So we were in a deep, vulnerable, real, very, I would say, in-depth state. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now we're gonna just go into a different state where we're gonna play. Because that game was, it was a game, but it wasn't up, okay? So this is what we're going to do for the state change. You guys know when we start into the cave, we have a spirit animal. That wasn't planned. If you listen to the other episodes, you know that it was just spirit and nature being in the cave with us. I mean, makes sense. It's the cave, right? So the spirit animal of episode 4 is the grasshopper.
Ooh.
Yeah. How did the spirit animal come? Well, after filming episode 3 and our conversation with Bova, I walk outside, I walk towards the door, and I see a grasshopper, and I'm like, is this for the next episode? And then the grasshopper leaped away. So, grasshopper, what did I get from the grasshopper? Grasshoppers are an invitation for us to take a leap of faith. For us to actually move past fear, wait for the right opportunity. If you ever approach the grasshopper, they look so serene and still, and they're just chilling, and then out of nowhere, it's like, pew, they're gone. So it's when that opportunity approaches you, don't wait to leap. Don't wait to jump in. The grasshopper is also an indicator that there is something going on that maybe you're going back and forth about, like, should I say yes? Should I say no? Should I move this way? Should I go that way? That is stagnation. The grasshopper says make a decision and leap and trust. Trust that you will actually land on your feet when you take that leap. The grasshopper also is playful. You ever kind of watch a grasshopper and see them just kind of leap around? So remember, find joy, right? Find joy in the simple things. So I'm going to tell you a story about the grasshopper. This story is a story that was told by an elder of the Pine River tribe in Northern California. The story goes like this. Grasshopper was chilling, having fun, checking out friends, leaping from there, going over there, just having the time of its life. Grasshopper notices that the people of the town are fishing for salmon because the winter is coming. So the people are like, hey, Grasshopper, help us out. We got to store all this salmon because the winter's coming and we want to make sure that we have food. Grasshopper's like, that's cool, guys. I'm good. Hops away. Grasshopper then goes to the community of the ants. If you guys saw episode 3, isn't it so seamless how this whole storyline plays out? So Grasshopper actually goes to have a conversation with the ants. And what we know about the ants is they're hard workers. They roll together. They are about community, right? Grasshopper is like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna hop over here. I'm gonna hop over there. Like, let me see what's going on, right? So Grasshopper goes to the ants. The ants are like, Grasshopper, we're gathering salmon so that we can dry it out so that we have it for the winter. Do you want to help? Grasshopper says, oh, guys, you're taking it too serious. It's all good. No, I actually got somewhere else to leap to. Fast forward to the winter. It's getting cold. There's no more green on the trees. There's snow. Grasshopper is freezing. Grasshopper is terrified. Grasshopper is looking for food. There's no bugs to eat right now. Like, there's nothing to eat right now because there's no greenery. Everyone is hibernating right now, and Grasshopper is out there alone. Grasshopper humbles itself, goes back to the people, right? Hey, I know you guys gathered all of that salmon. Can I please have some? What do you think the people said? No, you didn't help us fish for the salmon when we asked for your help. You said no. Grasshopper gets discouraged, leaves them. Grasshopper is still forced to be in the cold. Grasshopper is at the time of death, where Grasshopper is barely hopping, doesn't have anyone around to support it. Grasshopper remembers the ants. Let me go see if I can find an anthill because I remember that they stored all of that dry fish. Grasshopper goes to the ants. Hey guys. And remember, Grasshopper is no longer, hi, like, Grasshopper is struggling. Hey guys, I really just, can I please have some? And then the ants, they said, you didn't help us. Why should we give you some of this? You did not help us. And then eventually, the ants saw past what Grasshopper didn't do in the past and saw Grasshopper needs us right now. And they allowed Grasshopper to eat some of their dried salmon. And what the ants took from that which they then also traveled and told the people, that we learned from Grasshopper. We learned that there needs to be a balance between being alone, between that jovial state, between play. Hey, artist, I had to say it. You got to pay your bills too. It's okay to understand you need structure and balance that with your creativity, right? But the ants were grateful for Grasshopper because they were like, if Grasshopper didn't do that, we wouldn't have learned that lesson. But now we actually know how important it is to stick together and to prepare for what's to come when you know it is coming. And that's the story of the Grasshopper. Gratitude to the Pit River tribe. I'm just letting that sink in, because whenever I retell stories, I get more insight from it, and how humanity is in a state right now where we are so far beyond Grasshopper, but then we are so close to Grasshopper when it comes to this, I gotta make it happen, pursuit of happiness. Let me just hop over everyone else because I gotta get what I need. And a lot of times we actually don't even have the humility to turn back around and say, actually, my way didn't work. Look at me, I'm struggling. Actually, I was wrong. Can you please help me? And the fact that this whole cycle of the ant keeps coming, it is a time for us to figure out how to pass the load down. How can we carry each other's load? How can we work together as a team? You were mentioning in the beginning, like if we really knew you, we would know that you're terrified about the state that this country is in right now. And I don't think you're alone in that. And this is real. Because at some point, we have to actually understand it's time to prepare.
Literally.
Are we gathering our salmon and our fish and figuring out ways to store it so that when stuff freezes over, when systems fall, we have prepared for it and we're ready for it and we're not alone in it? That's what I'm getting right now.
And what happens if there's a grasshopper out there with no community? What happens to those people? Or there's a system of people without the knowledge, without the resources to store the salmon. Then what?
When we're carrying the weight of the truth, I really want to let that land, because I would like to invite whoever is viewing right now to also take a moment to sit with the weight of truth, the reality right now. We've gotten so far away from our nature that we forget we're all connected. And not from this idealize, all is one, we are all connected, let's hold hands. No, from a family system approach. Understanding that each individual is actually adding to the dynamic of the family system. So we have these individuals in these traumatic family units, then the individuals of that family unit is in this chaotic world, it's all playing into each other. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I think helps me not get overwhelmed anymore by the gravity of the weight of knowing truth is understanding I can work on me. I can accept all parts of me. Mm-hmm. Then I can be a container and a clear mirror for others to see themselves and find wholeness with both their dark and their light. And then they affect their family system. And then it trickles out that way. So a lot of my frustration with, and please don't cancel me for this, guys. Golly, this whole having to censor yourself is a thing too. But this is what I'm going to say. My issue with advocacy and protesting is, can we fix what's in here? Like, we can go out there and we can scream all day, but if we are still divided within ourselves, there is no unity. There never will be. It is not about, you guys are this. No, you guys are that. No, it's, I am. Do you even know? Can you even answer that question? Or are you so focused on what they are doing? So I love this expansion of mass media and, we're in the information age. Mm-hmm. This is great. And also, it makes it really hard to understand the system of tribalism and how effective it is. Mm-hmm. It is, you're a part of my tribe. I got your back. Mm-hmm. I'm my sister's keeper. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going on over there. I really don't, because I'm so focused on taking care of you right here and you right there. If we can do that, I promise we'll have a different world. I really believe we will. It makes me think about the amount of extraction psychology has done to indigenous communities. Mm-hmm. Put fancy terms on it. Eco-psychology, have you heard of that?
I have.
Oh my goodness gracious. How about just call it what it is? Indigenous people have been connected to nature for thousands and thousands of years beyond what we can even know. Mm-hmm. It is not eco-psychology. It is having reverence and honor for the land. Mm-hmm. So it makes me want to ask, what are your thoughts about pathologizing and kind of all of these therapeutic terms that we are taught to use and all of these rules and regulations? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Oof. That's a mouthful. It's so interesting to think about the journey, my specific journey. I'll come from a place of of going to school and learning this knowledge and trying so hard to integrate that knowledge to present a certain way to be accepted by a certain population. And learning, if you don't present in that way and you don't use this clinical jargon as they do, then you're viewed as less than, you're othered, inadequacy surfaces, imposter syndrome. You may not get that client that you want because you don't look like how they look on paper. Yes. So that was my journey in the beginning. And then what I learned after years of being in this field is clients don't care about the clinical jargon, and they don't care. Most of them don't care. There are some who still have questions of, is this rooted in science? You know,
yes.
they just want to be seen, they just want to be held, they just want help. And if you approach them with ego psychology or DBT this or DBT that, they're going to tune out. So today, I'm not with the traditional ways of doing therapy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that I don't pull from certain theoretical models, because I do.
Right.
But when you think about the mainstream theoretical models, how does that apply to a client that is being faced with racism at work on a daily basis? Does he have a cognitive distortion?
Right.
Because he's making an assumption about what his boss may view him as? No. No. What?
Right. When you said there's some clients who do want the science, sorry to burst your bubble for the clients that do want the science.
Mm-hmm.
The DSM, and that's the book where all of the diagnoses, the official diagnoses are for mental illnesses. And I said illnesses like that because I don't believe in that. The DSM was written in 1952 by a group of white male psychologists who all just decided to agree on what these things are called based on observing humans. There's actually no science behind the majority of the diagnosis in the DSM. Whoa. Oof. So, and you guys can look it up if you don't want to take my word for it. Please look it up and research. But there is not. So then, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. I just have to. So then, if there's no science behind these made-up labels, because they were theorized by a group of white men, but then I'm diagnosed with something, but then there's actually a chemical called a medication that then gets prescribed for something that isn't scientifically proven as an illness. So who's real drug lords? Okay, I'm getting scared about what I'm talking about right now.
Me too.
I'm getting scared. Okay, so
Wait, I need to.
you'll have to come into the cave like in person if you want to have that conversation and go a little deeper. But yeah, let's not. We'll change the topic back to social determinants. When you're speaking of clients who may have many layers of intersections, who look like us, to not mention the social determinants that can affect one's access to mental health care, I think we should talk about it.
We need to talk about it.
Yeah, so let me get my little chart out, because the visual kind of makes things super real. Like, just look at that for a second, and then just think about what this means for us. And you can kind of like read out loud some of the things that you're looking at.
Income, social status, education, employment and working conditions, culture, health, well-being, healthy child development.
Right. Why did you go healthy child development?
Because I'm thinking about my hometown, Sumter, South Carolina. from the South Side. I'm thinking about me, little Johnna. I didn't have early child development. I didn't go to pre-K. Not every family has that access. And sure, some can overcome those hurdles, but everyone doesn't. And how does that impact their mental health?
Right. When I think about social determinants and how a lot of us indigenous, Black, brown people have been pushed into these food deserts and forced to almost cancerize our tribal nature. And what I mean by that is gangs. That's all it is society figured out a way to feed on our natural instinct to tribe up and then turned us against each other. How do you expect that adolescent who's growing up in South Central to have time to sit quietly and just cry and sit with their emotions? So then that child then goes to school and maybe one of their peers or a teacher triggers them. They don't go to self-harming. They go to an external expression of trauma, which is fight. The fact that literally, now this is kind of proven scientifically because of cortisol levels and stress levels and things like that, PTSD, right? We don't think about what happens when there is no post-traumatic stress. What happens when it's traumatic stress on a daily? TSD, okay?
Preach.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if I'm under attack, if even as a clinician, I can't show up and be respected, been in the field for over 15 years, and yet just because of the way that I look, people want to know, what are your licensure? How long have you been doing this? Are you sure you're the right fit for my child? So when we're still being attacked in these mental health organizations as colleagues, how do we expect that young child who might have homicidal ideation because that's the only way they are able to express their trauma, how do we expect them to feel safe in those type of containers? If we can't even feel safe as peers, it is hard to hold both. True story, like true story. It is hard to hold compassion and care and empathy while someone's saying, look at her over there eating with her hands like a heathen savage, and that's a client. And because of therapeutic and, rules and ethics and all these things, I have to validate your experience of me. Because we're client-centered and focused. So some of these things need to be edited. In the event there is racism, in the event there has to be protocol added. That's all I'm going to say about it. But the fact that those of us that are kind of really pushing our stuff as we are still being attacked on the daily, it does feel discouraging to kind of see where we are with resources and access, and it's extremely hard to have enough wherewithal to stay in it to get your hours because of the racism when you have a supervisor. Do you know what I mean? It's like a lot.
It's a lot every single day. Every single day. It's like a smack in the face, a microaggression here, a microaggression there, blatant racism there. And then we have to compartmentalize to hold that space for the client. And you might receive it from the client.
Right.
Can't go there. We won't go to.
I know. I'm like, man, it's so true. It's so true. If we can take away anything from like this conversation around intersections and social determinants and access to healthcare in general, specifically mental health care, where I can draw hope from is our agency, our ability to provide resources that do actually show up for our community. Right? It's almost like I feel like when I look back at my journey through these different treatment centers and being in luxury mental health care and understanding what comes with that and the pain that comes with that, I draw hope and gratitude for the agency that we have to say, look, I get they do it like that, but we're here with you. Look, all of that stuff is great and it does work. And have you spoken to your grandmother? What's your experience with eldership? Instead of just draw a genealogram. No, actually sit with the elders in your family and ask them about their life, because that's the blood that is running through you right now. Have you heard of epigenetics? Right? That approach is completely different. To say, hey, look, I'm not afraid of you. I get you pulled a knife out on someone at school. What's been going on at home?
We're all human.
Yeah.
Literally trying every day to make it.
We're all human. Literally trying every day to make it. And I would like to reframe that with, we're all human. Instead of trying, let's just be.
Period.
Bang. Okay, so before we get into our experiential portion, this is a basket with different quotes from Carl Jung in them.
Whoa.
For those who don't know who Carl Jung is, feel free to look him up. But there's a lot of positive information out there, and there's also a lot of negative information because Carl Jung really honored the subconscious shadow work, indigenous modalities, just really getting to, when we talk about things like internal family systems, like Carl Jung was doing parts work before it was called parts work with archetypal therapy, you know? So I draw a lot from Carl Jung just with my offerings and the groups that I do. And I just think it's only right for Into the Cave for us to bring some of his wisdom and knowledge into the space. So you will pick 3 quotes from in there, one at a time.
Okay.
And as you pick the quote, you're going to read it out loud and then just share what's coming up for you based on what that quote said.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. Oof. In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. Wow. This brings my attention to the micro and the macro. And I'm thinking about a family system of chaos. There's an order to it. There's this secret language that a family has, and if you learn it, you can help restore order.
Yes. Yeah, that quote really encompasses the symbol of the black sun for me. Controlled chaos, just understanding that even the things that we see as chaotic in the world right now, there is some order to it. And whatever keeps us here, whatever wakes us up every day, is ultimately guiding the all of life. And that includes the chaos. All right.
People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own souls. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Wow, you were just talking about his work with the shadow, or shadow work. This makes me think about like the malignant symptoms of oppression. Like we gravitate to all of these things to sort of numb us or make us not face the things that are really hurting us.
Yes.
Because we're so afraid of that darkness.
Yes. Yes.
And then it goes back to the grasshopper and the ant story that you shared of finding that balance. You can't have all light. You must know the darkness as well.
Yes. Whew. I have nothing for that. That says it all. That says it all.
Okay. What do the people need to hear?
Ooh, that's good.
Oh. We cannot change anything unless we accept it.
I love that. That's like period.
What a nice wrap up.
Yes, that is everything. We cannot change anything unless we accept it.
All right. Let's go into the grounding.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello everyone. We've come to the part of the show where we would like to do some collective grounding. So if you can find yourself a comfortable seated position, it could be on the floor, it could be on your couch, it could be in your bed, wherever you have access to allow yourself to just ground in this moment. Find yourself there. And when you're ready, I'll invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so. And if you don't, you can bring your gaze to a spot on the floor or to a spot on the wall, wherever you are. Just allow yourself to tune into you, whether that be with your eyes open or closed. And just take a few moments to notice your breath cycle. Notice how your body rises with each inhalation and falls with each exhalation. Mindfully, just get to know your breath cycle. Know that your breath will be your anchor throughout this grounding exercise.
Be silent and listen. Have you recognized your madness? And do you admit it? Have you noticed that all your foundations are completely mired in madness? Do you not want to recognize your madness and welcome it in a friendly manner? You wanted to accept everything, so accept madness too. Let the light of your madness shine, and it will suddenly dawn on you. Madness is not to be despised and not to be feared, but instead you should give it life. If you want to find paths, you should also not spurn madness, since it makes up such a great part of your nature. Be glad that you can recognize it, for you will thus avoid becoming its victim. Madness is a special form of the spirit and clings to all teachings and philosophies, but even more to daily life. Since life itself is full of craziness and at bottom utterly illogical, man strives toward reason only so that he can make rules for himself. Life itself has no rules. That is its mystery and its unknown law. What you call knowledge is an attempt to impose something comprehensible on life. Carl Jung, The Red Book. It gets hard It gets so hard when we're doing life, when we don't get it right. It gets so hard just doing life when everything feels like a fight. It gets so hard when memories haunt us. We try to run from ourselves. Then the memories take over, and it's hard to ask for help. Memories can be our greatest addiction. The memory of traumatic events, the activation of our nervous system. Memories can be the most toxic addiction. May the moon amplify the parts of ourself that are striving for light. May we find comfort in the darkness, absorbing the light, becoming it. May we send that light to the memories that were once toxic. May we find balance with our dark and our light, the way the stars find balance in the sky. To the moon and back, we have the possibility to go. Don't let past memories make you think you cannot grow. Trust the shadow. Trust in your shadow. Have tea with the parts of yourself you deem unworthy. Do the shadow work and watch your shadow work for you. Find comfort in the shade. find comfort in today. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just trust all is enough. What if depression is just the suppression of one's true self? What if anxiety is being stuck in a future that may or may not happen? What if psychosis is being stuck in a dimension that others may not understand? What if schizophrenia is being in tune with frequencies others are not tuned into? Like a dog whistle, when it is blown, alerts the dog, but the human hears none. What if autism is a recognition of pattern? What if when this one jumps and that one screams, it creates a symphony, an orchestra, and harmonizes with all of humanity? What if bipolar is being confused and stuck between your higher and your lower self? What if that is an indicator, that balance, finding a middle between all of our expressions is the call? What if all of the things we label as mental illness is just the result of being in an ill world? One that is run by capitalism? What if we can just be human? What if we are just human? Can that be enough?